All right, y'all, we give praise, esteem, and honor to the living Alahym in the name of Yahushua HaMashiach today. And we're going to pick this up in John chapter 5, verse 39. So search the scriptures for in them you think you have eternal life, and there they which testify of me. And you will not come to me that you might have life. I receive not honor from men, but I know you, that you have not the love of Alahym in you. I come by Abba's name, and you receive me not. If another shall come in his own name, him you will receive. How can you believe which receive honor one from another, and not the honor that comes from Allah only? Do not think that I will accuse you. The Abba, there is one that accused you, even Moses, in whom you trust. Had you believed Moses, you would have believed me, for he wrote of me. But if you believe not his writings, how should you believe my words? All esteem the Abba and Shamahim, in the name of Yahushua HaMashiach. Let's get straight to Leviticus 21, excuse me. Leviticus 21. We are at Leviticus 21 and 17. And it says, speak unto Aaron, saying, whosoever of your seed and their generations that have blemish, let him not approach to offer the bread of his Alahym. For whatsoever man that have blemish, he shall not approach. A blind man or a lame, he that have a flat nose or anything superfluous, a man that is broken-footed or broken-handed or crook-back or a dwarf or have a blemish in his eye, shalom, man. Or be scurvy or scab, shalom, bro. Or have his stones broken. No man that have a blemish of the seed of Aaron the priest shall come near the offerings of Yahuwah made by fire. He have a blemish. He shall not come near to offer the bread of his Alahym. He shall eat the bread of his Alahym. See, I want y'all to pay attention to that. He shall eat the bread of his Alahym, of the most Kadash and of the Kadash. Only he shall not go into the veil, nor come near unto the altar, because he have a blemish, that he profane not my sanctuaries. For I, Yahuwah, do sanctify them. And Moses told unto Aaron and his son, and all the sons of the Yasharah. So this is the first thing I want to do. Galatians chapter 3, because he said of his seed. So I need you to understand what that means. So we're going to touch a few things that y'all already know. But this is what we're going to do. Galatians chapter 3. After that, Isaiah 59 on general principle. You know, I had a brother on my timeline the other day, man. He asked a good question. I guess for some. I'm going to see what y'all, if y'all can remember the word, if you would. He asked the question, is the concept of only begotten son, is the concept, and it's relevant to what we're going to look at, that's why I'm in it, is the concept of only begotten son in Tanakh? Can anyone tell me what the Hebrew word for only begotten son is, if you recall? And where is it mentioned in the prophets or in the law? Now, I will say he had to come back around and acknowledge that the concept was there. He tried to spin it on the context of the passages, but he asked a specific question. There's a reason why when it comes to certain things, that's why we go over them. That's why I show you what I show you, because people ask questions that they believe there are no answers to. And they think that they can have people caught up who subscribe to a particular type of point of view. See, I'm not teaching y'all information for the point in the regards to debate others. Oh, by no means. We teach you these things so that you can understand why you believe in the son of Alahym, according to what's written of the son of Alahym, and that you could defend said faith. Give a damn about debating. You ought to know why you believe in what you believe and that you can stand on that. That's the hallmark of being a man. If you're just doing something, you don't even know why you're doing it, how you going to stand on it? You're not going to be able to stand on it. That's why we take the time and look at the stuff that we look at. You understand? Yes, sir. And that is the Hebrew word. Sean has it. Nobody on YouTube has said anything. But let's take a look at it. But let me read this Galatians 3, and then we're going to go from there. Because like I said, there's a point, rhyme, and reason. Now, see, he mentioned Exodus 4 and 22. And I'll read you that word for firstborn, because there in that passage, it's not the Hebrew word for only begotten son. You know what I'm saying? It's the Hebrew word for firstborn or right of the firstborn or chief. You know what I'm talking about? Which is the reason why the gentleman asked said question, because he believed that Exodus 4 and 22 was pointing to that. But see, I already knew that it wasn't. So I'm putting this information out here for anybody who's on this stream who has never heard this before, or if you who will permit will watch this later. Because you know it's people who don't believe on Mashiach, and that's unfortunate for you. Shalom, Brother Renner, because you're going to hell. You know what I'm talking about? Now, see, I'm not like other people who gonna mismatch words with you, dance around it. You know what I'm talking about? Blow smoke up your butt, tell your stories, and make you feel good about yourself. If you deny the only begotten Son of the living Alahym, according to what the scripture has said, you are going to hell. You have called Abba and Shamahim a liar. You are not a son of Alahym, nor are you a partaker of his covenant. You are a sinner, an unbeliever, and you are destined for damnation. You know what I'm talking about? And that's just what it is. And if you feel like that's condemning people, screw you and everything you stand for. Because that's the problem with you goofy niggas. You niggas won't take a definitive stance and say, hey, man, this is the consequence of said action. If you continue down this road, this is what's going to happen to you. You know what I'm talking about? See, that feminine leaning trying to talk about you going to teach people, that junk don't work, man, because you're not making people understand the gravity of the consequences of their choices. You understand? If you around here in adultery, you going to hell if you continue down that pathway. If you out here lying and you worshiping idols, you are not going to be close to the living Alahym. That's not going to happen. You got to stand up and be a man and say what it is and what it ain't. And it is consequences for the choices that you make. And if you niggas ain't willing to do that, you not of God. You a goofy, you a busting, you a pussy. There's nowhere in the world you are Yahuwah. Because Yahuwah going to look you in the face and tell you it's consequences for your choices. It's consequences. And people need to be aware of the consequences so they can understand the choices that they're making. Not make people comfortable with making bad decisions. There's too many niggas handling the word that ain't men. You're not a man, dude. Just because you got testicles in the penis, that don't make you a man. What make you a man is intrinsic. It's internal. It's not how much money you make. It's not how you dress. It's not where you work. It's not what you do. It's not what you drive. It's who you are on the inside. That make you a man. It's your character traits. It's what you stand for. It's how you live. A lot of these niggas not men, man. They goofies. They weirdos. They men with women's hearts and spirits. And we don't respect it. Nor do we want to be affiliated with it. Galatians chapter 3. Hold on, y'all. Let me see what verse I want. Come on over here to verse 6. I rock that out. Galatians 3 and 6. Even as Abraham believed Alahym and it was counted to him for righteousness, know you therefore that they which are of faith, the same are the sons of Abraham. The scripture foreseeing that Alahym would justify the heathen through faith, preached before the Basar of Abraham, in you shall all nations be baruched. So then they which be of faith are baruched with faith of Abraham. For as many are the works of the law are under the curse, for it is written, cursed everyone that continue not in all things which were written in the book of the law to do them. You know, I had a conversation with a gentleman earlier today also, and he was asked a question. And I'm asking y'all this question because I want to see how you're going to answer it. And that's just not to disparage either one of the gentlemen, because they asked their questions because clearly they wanted a sincere response. You know what I'm talking about? I'm just using this as an example of how sometimes we can look at the text from the wrong vantage point. You understand? You did? So check it. He asked a question in John chapter 8. What did Yahushua mean when he said he that without sin cast the first stone? Shalom, Jay. Why did he say that? What does that refer to? Because that's important to what we finna discuss this evening also. Who knows why Yahushua said that? He did without sin cast the first stone. Anybody y'all gonna be able to help me out on that or not? Going once? Going twice? So this is what I want y'all to do, right? Y'all should know the passage. Yeah, Stanley just mentioned the passage. So let's come over here to Psalms 130. Psalms 130 and 3. Listen to what he say. If you, Yahuwah, should mark iniquities, O Lord, who should stand? But forgiveness with you that you may be feared. So as I'm talking to him, he was like, oh, so what does that mean? I'm like, bro, you do know, just like I know. The law say if you get caught committing adultery, you supposed to die. The men literally said in John 8, when they brought the woman, the law of Moses said this woman should be stoned. What you say? And that's when he hit him with that. Now he hit him with that. See, praise be to Yahuwah. We understand that Psalms 130 when he said, he that without sin cast the first stone. Then when all them people left, he said, woman, no man condemn you? She said, nay, Lord. He said, I don't condemn you either. Go and sin no more. That's what he told her. So we know he told her that because when Yahuwah declared his name, he said, gracious, merciful, abundant in goodness and truth, forgiving sin and iniquity. Because I don't think a lot of brews really understand this point, and y'all already know this. The law does not prescribe mercy. Because the brother mentioned the verses in the law that say if you commit adultery, you got to die. This is how we know that Yahushua was Alahym, because who else got the ability to forgive somebody who ought to die? So then he mentioned David. He said, well, David, Psalm 51, David repented this, that, there, and the third. No, sir, that's not what happened. So you want to jump to Psalm 51. But see, you got to go back to 2 Samuel where it went down at when he pronounced death on himself. And Nathan said, that man is you. He said, but you will not die. Alahym, put away your sin. There was no prayer that David went into at that particular moment. Let's take a look. Come over here to 2 Samuel 13, I believe. 2 Samuel 13. See, if you're going to talk about it, you got to talk about it. See, a lot of brew, man, they off kilter. They going to have you in the wrong spot, man. Because he really had like, bro, there's nothing you can do to get Yahuwah's forgiveness. There's no prayer. There's no I'm sorry. There's no action that you can do. Ain't nothing that you can do. That's all up to him. See, we don't like to hear that. I don't think it's 2 Samuel 13. It's 2 Samuel 12. My bad, y'all. 2 Samuel 12. Look at verse 5. And David's anger was greatly kindled against the man. He said, Nathan, Yahuwah live. The man that have done this shall surely die. Understand that this man swore unto Yahuwah. He swore to Yahuwah that he should die. Do you understand that? That's just not saying, oh, whoever did that, they dead wrong. That man swore Yahuwah's name. David's supposed to die. Not only for the action, when he was being held accountable for the action and he gave it to him in a parable, he condemned himself and swore in Yahuwah's name that man ought to die. Look at what he said. He shall restore the land fourfold because he did this thing, because he had no pity. Nathan said to David, you the man. Thus saith Yahuwah Alahym of Yasharal, I anointed you Malach over Yasharal and delivered you out of the hand of Saul. And I gave you your master's house and your master's wives under your bosom, and gave you the house of Yasharal and Yehuda. And too little, I would moreover have given unto you such and such things. Wherefore have you despised the commandment of Yahuwah to do evil in his sight, that you killed Uriah the Hittite with the sword, and taken his wife, your wife, and have slain him with the sword of the sons of Ammon? Now therefore the sword shall never depart out of your house, because you have despised me, and you have taken the wife of Uriah the Hittite to be your wife. Thus saith Yahuwah, behold, I will raise up evil against you out of your own house, and I will take your wives before your eyes and give unto your neighbor, and he shall lie with your wives in the sight of the sun. For you did secretly, but I will do this before all Yasharal and before the sun. And David said unto Yahuwah, I said unto Nathan, I have sinned Yahuwah. Nathan said unto David, Yahuwah have put away your sin. You shall not die. Howbeit, by this deed you getting great occasion to the enemies of Yahuwah to blaspheme. The child also born unto you shall surely die. Now see, before Nathan went into this, Nathan already know Yahuwah was going to put the man's sin away. He let him know, boy, you finna get punished, because he said he by no means clears the guilty. He said, but you're not going to die. See, hold on before we come to Galatians. So this would make and y'all should already remember this, but if you don't, pray be to Yahuwah, we're going to bring it back to your remembrance. That would make this Psalm 55 touch different. Come on over here and look at it. It's still dealing with what we're talking about, which is the word of faith with Abraham. There was nothing that David, just because David said, I sinned, didn't mean Yahuwah said, oh yeah, I'm going to forgive you. He had already forgiven him in regards to, I'm not going to kill you. See, what a lot of people get game twisted and mistaken, that you think just because I say repent or I'm sorry, Abba forgive me, that means your sin forgiven. Have you forgotten that when Ahab rent his clothes and wept softly, Yahuwah said, you know what? He humbled himself before me. He said, I'm still going to kill him and all his sons, but I ain't going to let him see his sons get killed. You forgot that? Yahuwah certainly forgave me. He said, you know what? I'm still going to kill you and all your sons. But you ain't going to have to see that. He didn't make that sin go away in the punishment of that because he didn't fool with him. He had done cut him off. Saying I'm sorry is not a cover up for wickedness, man. Telling people they got time to get it right. Stop telling people that. You don't know how much time that man got. Why is you telling people that? You always got time. How you know that? So you mean to tell me you went into the future and you could tell him, yeah, boy, you got X amount of time left. You got plenty of time. You good. Stop telling people that. That book tell you why today is today. You better hear his voice. Shalom, Brother Marcus. That's what the book say. The book don't say you got time. I'll read that for you too if you think I'm making that up. Because he didn't say you got time. He said, while today is today. You gotta stop. We gotta stop telling people that, man. That make people comfortable in being evil. It makes people lackadaisical and lazy and slothful and putting away their flesh and turning from sin and turning to godliness. Stop telling people that because you lying to them. Isaiah 55:1. Ho, everyone that thirsts, come ye to the waters, and he that had no money, come you buy and eat. Yea, come buy wine and milk without money, without price. Wherefore do you spend money for not bread, and your labor? I ain't understanding why you asking me that. And I'm being serious. If you could, because Brother Marvin asked, is that also reason why Yahushua will give the kingdom to Abba? Give me a little bit more context of where that question coming from, because I don't really know how to answer it based on why you asked me. So I can be able to fully answer your question. Verse 2, wherefore do you spend money for not bread, and your labor for satisfy not? Hearken diligently unto me, and eat you good, and let your soul delight itself in fatness. See, that goes into the point where I was telling y'all the other day when people be like, oh, if you like what they teaching, you should pay them. Man, why you spending money for that trash behind word, man? He said, why is you spending money for that which is not bread? If it's not the bread of the living God, if it's not the bread of the son of Alahym, why you giving that man your money for? You got to be stupid. You got to be stupid. You know what I'm talking about? Then he said, why you laboring for that which satisfy not? He said, don't labor for the meat that period. He said, labor for the meat that endure the everlasting life. Why you not putting in work that's going to satisfy your soul? You doing stuff for nothing. That's why he said that in that Matthew 15. They worship me in vain for the doctrines and commandments of men. This don't even satiate your hunger. You still thirsty and you still hungry. That man say, if you drink from him, you'll never thirst. And if you eat from him, you'll never be hungry. We don't be wanting to hear that. Verse 3, he said, incline your ear and come unto me, and hear, and your soul shall live, and I will make an everlasting covenant with you, the sure mercies of David. See, a lot of people don't understand that. He said, if you hear me and you believe in me and you walk after me, I'll give you the sure mercies of David. You know why? Because if he was the mark of iniquity, who would stand? Everybody has to die. You understand that? Everybody is in the position that David is in. I don't care if you ain't did what David did. You committed a sin unto death. You need them sure mercies. You don't pronounce death on your head by delighting in the things that Yahuwah delight not in. He said, all you got to do is believe in me like righteous Abraham, and you can get them sure mercies of David, because I'll make an everlasting covenant with you. Oh, because he the root and offspring of David. I mean, well, you know, the kinglies, the only person who could sit on the throne of Yasharal got to come from the seed of David. You know what I'm saying? According to what's in Daniel. You know what I'm saying? And the covenant that Yahuwah made with him in 2 Samuel 7. And then what he said to him in Psalms 89. You know what I'm saying? In Psalms 132. You know what I'm talking about? So that's where that come in at. But he get the kingdom back to his father because that's who the kingdom belonged to. Shalom, Sister Hill. That's who the kingdom belonged to. You know what I'm talking about? It don't belong to the son. When everything finished, the father gonna rule over everything because the son work is complete, and now he could just be under the rule of his father as his father intended from the jump street. So come on back over here to Galatians chapter 3. See, that's what people don't understand, right? If you don't do everything that's written in that law, boy, you cursed. Meaning you got to die. So there's something that, yes, sir, no problem. It's something that got to be done in order to remedy that problem. See, the problem with a lot of brews is you don't realize that we have a severe problem. We have a severe problem. We have a very, very severe problem. And we kind of talked about it last week when we talked about what he needed to do to bring his banish back to him. Because if you got sin on you, you can't come near unto him. Now, remember, I told you to focus on the fact he said you can't offer the bread if you got blemish, but you can still eat it. And that's going to be important in due time. Let's take a look at verse 11 of Galatians chapter 3. He said, but that no man is justified by the law in the sight of Alahym, evident, for the just live by faith. Understand that that's in the Tanakh. That's where that's at. That's not a Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John concept. That comes straight from the prophets, which in reality comes straight from Abraham, because he lived by faith. See, Mo Brew, they don't live by their faith. Oh, that's Christian talk. Shut your goofy behind up, you unbelieving bastard Jew. You know what I'm talking about? You nigga don't believe the word, man. And you know, I've been telling y'all the whole time I've been preaching, and I stand on that. Most of these people who deal with this book, they don't believe this word. They don't believe in Yahuwah like that. And it shows. It didn't show, because in Psalms, he said, I'm going to speak of your righteousness all the day long. Ain't nobody speaking of Yahuwah's righteousness because you think the law is his righteousness. That's how I know you don't know him. You know what I'm talking about? Because he told you what he delight in. He told you who he is, so I know you don't know him. You can't know him. You think his righteousness is about not eating clean and unclean animals and sacrifices, my G? You think his righteousness is contained in Sabbath days, bro? You think his righteousness is contained in the fact that you come from the loins of 3 men? You think his righteousness is contained in that? I know you don't know God, bro. It's okay. Just acknowledge that and say that. Because I can tell. I know. I can't speak for everybody else, but I know you don't know him. Because if you knew him, you knew what he stand for. You would know he stand for loving kindness and righteousness and judgment. These are the things that he delights in. You would know that he would be abundant in goodness and truth, merciful and gracious and long-suffering and forgiving. That's what you would know if you knew him. That's how I don't even understand how nigga don't believe in Yahushua. Clearly, you don't know God, jackass. You dummy, you goofy, you weirdo. You can't know him. You can't. There's no way. Because if you've seen Yahushua, you should have seen Yahuwah. Just like he said, if you seen me, you seen my father. How in the world you been reading Genesis to Malachi and you can't see that's the same person? You got to be stupid. I don't understand it. You know, I do understand it. Don't get me wrong. It's because you don't believe the word. You know what I'm talking about? It's because you don't believe the word. That's why. That's why. You think you do, but you really don't. That's why we're seeking all these other outside things for justification. See, I'm saying all this because this leading to the next thing we're dealing with, because we're not dealing with Leviticus 21 after the night, Yahuwah willing. Something came into my mind the other day, and I'm already lined up, cocked, and ready to go. You understand? For the next thing we got to deal with. You dig? You know what I'm talking about? Straight up and down. And it's not the verse per se, and the things that spin out of it ain't nothing that we done. Well, it's been a while since we used that particular verse, but it's a concept that I done talked to y'all about numerous times. You know what I'm talking about? But yeah, and if you offended by what I say, I don't care. You know what I'm talking about? I really don't, because I ain't trying to be down with nobody. Y'all know it. I don't care. All I care about is the people who love Alahym. You love Alahym, I care about you. If you don't love and believe my God, I don't care about you. And the difference is I'll say it. I'm not going to play these games talking about I love my nation. No, I love those that love Yahuwah. If you don't love Yahuwah, I don't give a damn what bloodline you is, man. I don't fool with you. You know what I'm talking about? If you think it's cool for you to take my Abba's name and blaspheme it and step on it and defile it, nigga, I don't fool with you. I don't care who your daddy is, man. I don't fool with you. And I'm not going to be down with you just because we share the same kinfolk. I don't care about none of that, my nigga. I don't care about none of that. That joint don't move me. Boy, once you show me that you an enemy of God, boy, I don't fool with you, nigga. Once you show me you a dishonorable man, I don't fool with you, bro. I don't care who you is. The problem is, y'all niggas fool with dishonorable men too comfortably. It makes me doubt what type of man you is, because ain't no honorable man fooling with no dishonorable men, boy. And if you comfortable with proclaiming the name of Yahuwah and dishonoring it on a consistent basis, ain't no honor in you, boy, and we don't fool with you. And we don't fool with you. If you can slander and betray your brother, we don't fool with you. Don't you know that what Psalms 50 say? You sat there and you slandered your own mother's brother. And all together you thought I was just like you. Nah, my nigga, we don't fool with your kind, bro. I don't care how long you known you was an Israelite. I don't care how many dudes you done told they was an Israelite. You a goofy and a weirdo. Because the difference is, if we was in the street, a nigga not fooling with you, bro. Man, I'm going to just keep it a bean, man. It's a lot of brothers only dealing with them because we in the word, not because these are men of valor, men of honor, men of righteousness, men of respect, men of integrity. We know because we dealing in the word and you say you in the word that there's a modicum of brotherly love that has to be manifested. But don't think that we don't know that y'all niggas is goofies. Don't think that we don't know that y'all dishonorable and men who lack integrity. Don't think that dudes don't know this. The difference is we not going to treat you the way you would treat us because of your lack of integrity and your lack of honor. But once you show yourself to be a man who lacks integrity openly, we're going to cut you off. We're not going to deal with you no more. You know why? Because Yahuwah going to cut you off and not deal with you no more. Care nothing about none of that, man. You niggas not going to shame me and make me feel bad about myself like I got the fool with you because we Israelites. I ain't got the fool with nobody but those who love Yahuwah. You smoking crack if you think I got the fool with you and you a dishonorable, blaspheming individual. I will not. Y'all already know what Psalms 101 say. He said, I won't know a wicked person. I'm not fooling with you. Book tell us not to fool with them type of people. But you don't care about that. Nation over everything. Nah, it's who over everything. Nigga, what the hell wrong with you? You got to be dumb as a box of rocks to be around here talking that type of ignorant, stupid behind. Man, let me just move on, man. These niggas done pissed me off. Let's go over here, man. Verse 12. And the law is not of faith, but the man that do them shall live by them. Or live in them, excuse me. Hamashiach have redeemed us from the curse of the law, being made a curse for us, for it is written, curse is everyone that hang on a tree. The blessing of Abraham might come on the Gentiles through Yahushua HaMashiach, that we might receive the promise of the Ruach through faith. Brethren, I speak after the manner of men, though but a man's covenant, yet confirmed, no man disannul or add thereto. Now to Abraham and his seed were the promises made. He say not unto seeds as of many, but as of one, and to your seed, which is Hamashiach. Not seeds of many now, just one seed. Just one seed. That's why he tell you that with Aaron, is forth is the high priesthood. It ain't but one seed. See, let me show you something. Come on to Genesis chapter 12. I still got to deal with the concept of only begotten. After I read the Genesis chapter 12, I'm going to go ahead and take a spin to Psalms chapter 2, if you would. See, I praise Alahym in the name of Yahushua continually because, boy, I ain't like the rest of them niggas, boy. I'm nice with mine. If you want it with me, boy, I can give you what you're looking for. You understand? Because I'm not the rest of them dudes, man. You know what I'm talking about? A lot of dudes, they do this for show. Well, I do this for real. You understand me? I do this for real, man. My whole life built on this, man. My whole entire life founded on this here, man. I'm talking about my whole life. Everything I got going in my physical existence is on this here. Ain't nothing else for me, man. You know what I'm talking about? Ain't nothing else for me, man. This ain't no conversation starter or none of this type of stuff, man. Or look at what I know. Oh, this, that, there, and the third. Oh, nah, my G. My whole life on this here, man. I'm talking about, I done put my whole life, I done banked my whole entire existence on this here. I'm talking about naturally and eternally, boy. I done put the whole house on that. You know what I'm saying? I don't know what y'all done did, but I can only speak for myself. You know what I'm talking about? I can't speak for nobody else. You know what I'm saying? I could, but they grown men, they can speak for their own self. You know what I'm talking about? But I'm just telling you, look, for me, boy, I done put my whole life on this here, boy. This ain't for sure, boy. I ain't on here 3 times a week just because I think it's cool. Just because I want to be seen and known. Oh, nah, boy, my whole life on this here, man. I pray that's the same for you, boy. My whole life on this here. My whole life been on this here since May 2009. You know what I'm talking about? Literally. You know what I'm talking about? That's why I talk the way that I talk and say the thing that I say, boy. My whole life on this here, man. This ain't just something that I'm doing. Oh, no. And I ain't talking about the preaching part either. You know what I'm talking about? But let's continue. Genesis chapter 12, man, verse 7. Matter of fact, let me make it verse 1, man. And Yahuwah said unto Abram, get you out of your country and from your kindred and from your house unto the land that I will show you. And I will make you a great nation, and I will baruch you and make your name great. And you shall be a baruching. And I will baruch them that baruch you and curse them that curse you. And in you shall all the families of the earth be blessed. So let's drop down to verse 7. Yahuwah appeared unto Abram and said, unto your seed will I give this land. And there builded he an altar unto Yahuwah, who appeared unto him. Genesis 15 on general principle. Genesis 15 on general principle. Verse 3. And Abram said, behold, to me you have given no seed, and lo, one born in my house is my heir. And behold, the word of Yahuwah unto him, saying, this shall not be your heir, but he that come out of your bowels, out of your own bowels, shall be your heir. And he brought him forth abroad and said, look now toward Shamahim and tell the stars, if you are able to number them. He said unto him, so shall your seed be. And he believed in Yahuwah, and he counted to him for righteousness. I just want you to focus on that seed. Now, of course, you know in Genesis 21, let's just get it while we're over here so I ain't got to double back. Let's come over here to Genesis 21. That's just so I ain't got to double back. (21 and 9) is fine. 21 and 9 is fine. And Sarah saw the son Hagar, the Egyptian, which she had born unto Abraham, mocking. Wherefore she said unto Abraham, cast out this bondwoman and her son, for the son of this bondwoman shall not be heir with my son, with Isaac. This thing was very grievous. And Abraham's sight, because of his son, Alahym said unto Abraham, let it not be grievous in your sight because of the lad, because of your bondwoman. And all that Sarah hath said unto you, hearken unto her voice. For in Isaac shall your seed be called. Because it's not seed, it's just one seed. Just like it's one Alahym, one faith, one immersion, one body, because the seed is the word of Alahym. That's what Yahushua told you. It ain't but one seed. It ain't no multiple ways to God. It ain't no multiple seed. It ain't but one seed. And you got to be born of that word. And if you're not born of that word, then you a bastard. You dig? See, you not of that bloodline. See, you just going to be just like what you read in Ezra. You can't find you in the genealogy roll. You done polluted the priesthood. You got to go. See, the same way what that is, you know, you open up that book of life, we can't find your name in here. That means you're not related to us, my G. You got to go. It's the same concept. If you don't know what I'm talking about, just go scroll through the book of Ezra, man, by chapter 2. You had a bunch of men talking about they were Levites. And when they went through looking through the genealogies, they couldn't find them in there. They say, oh, no, you done polluted the priesthood. You can't do this here, man. You can't do this here, man. That's why he said, if you're not of the seed, you can't do that. You got to be born of the word, or you not on the rolls, my G. When he pop open that book of life and look at that genealogy, because we know that Kokab is for stars, that's the progeny of Mashiach. We can't find you in here. We're not related to you. That's why he said, depart from me, you work of iniquity. I never knew you. You're not my offspring. I don't know who you is, my G. I'm not taking care of you. See, we done went through this before. Yahuwah is not taking care of any children that are not his. That man say, not all Yasharal is of Yasharal. He say, boy, it's not the children of the flesh, but the children of the promise, because as it's written, and Isaac shall your seed be called. See, Isaac wasn't born of the flesh. Isaac was born of the promise of God. That's what dudes don't understand. Isaac was born of faith. See, y'all don't even realize one of the concepts you're supposed to pick up from Ishmael and Isaac is Ishmael was representative of the law, and Isaac was of faith. That's why in Isaac shall your seed be called. You understand? See, there was work to put in that created Ishmael. It wasn't nothing that Abraham did to get Isaac. Isaac had already been promised to him years before the child was born. Years before the child was born. All he had to do was live by faith. That's where the Habakkuk chapter 2 verse 4 come in that you heard in Galatians, that the just live by their faith. He lived according to that promise in order to receive it. There was no law involved. All he had to do was believe, like it said, he was kind of righteous before God. See, a lot of brood men ain't on that. See, faith without works is dead. Get your goofy behind out of here, man. Stop saying that you don't know what you're talking about. I don't know why you mad with the Christian church. Sort that out. Go get a therapist, my nigga. Something wrong with you because you leading the people astray. That's why they ain't got the power of God in them. That's why they ain't got no power, because you ain't giving them information to get it. So they can't take hold to it. The power is in trusting in Alahym. Ain't no power in the law, my G. Because if it was, there would be no need for the son of Alahym to manifest itself. Psalms chapter 2, there would be no need. But see, we don't understand that. You are powerless people seeking power from a source that can't give it to you. That's why he say they seek to be justified by the things that they couldn't be justified by the law of Moses. So you don't understand what that means, because your first instance is that's talking about not keeping the law. Well, you still don't keep it. So clearly that's not working out well for you. Psalms 2, man. I pick it up at verse 6 on general principle. He said, yet have I set my Malach upon my Kadash hill of Zion. I will declare the decree, Yahuwah has said unto me, you, my son, this day have I begotten you. So he's letting you be known, you, my son, I birthed you today. You, my only son. Now, when you come over here to Genesis 22, and Shauna had already put it in the chat. So you come over here to Genesis 22. Come on over here with me. I share the word with you real quick, like. Come over here to Genesis 22 and 16, because I ain't going to read everything around it. Y'all know the story. I'll make it verse 15. And the Malachim of Yahuwah called, well, matter of fact, look at 11. And the Malachim of Yahuwah called unto him out of Shamahim and said, Abraham, Abraham. And he said, here I. He said, lay not your hand upon the lad, neither do anything unto him. For I know that you fear Alahym, seeing that you have not withhold your son, your only, from me. Now understand something. We know he had a son, another son. And that was Ishmael. But the Hebrew word is Yad, Kat, and Dalet, Yaked. Only, one, solitary, unique, only begotten son. That's it. Yaked is the word. That is your concept for only begotten son. And you know where else that you can read this at, just in case you were wondering? Of course, it's a few times and in that what you call it? Genesis 22. But you can also see it in Amos 8 and 10. He said, I will turn your feast in the morning, all your songs in the lamentation, and I will bring upon sackcloth upon all loins and baldness upon every head, and I will make it as the morning of an only. See, the sun ain't there, and the end thereof as the bitter day. And Zechariah 12 and 10 say the same. I will pour upon the house of David and upon the inhabitants of Jerusalem the ruach of grace and of supplications, and they shall look upon me whom they have pierced, and they shall mourn for him as one mourn for only. And there shall be bitterness for him as one that is in bitterness for firstborn. So when you look at firstborn in that particular passage, the word is bakor. That is the same word that's in Exodus 4 and 22 when he say Israel is my firstborn. See, that's firstborn, firstling, eldest son. Now see, we know that technically Ishmael is Abraham's eldest son. But Yahuwah, the Malachim from Alahym, said Isaac was Abraham's only begotten son. You know what I'm talking about? So this is your concept of where you can understand where this comes from. And then the other one is in Psalm 68 and 22. So look up over here to Psalm 68 and 22. Well, Psalm 68 and 6, not 22. I'm sorry. Psalm 68 and 6. But I give you verse 4. I give you verse 4 on general principle. Psalm 68 and 4. Sing unto Alahym, sing praises to his name, extol him that ride upon Shamahim by his name, Yah, and rejoice before him. A Abba of the fatherless and a judge of the widows, Alahym, in his Kadash habitation. So again, we talked about this here before, man, and we looked at this about a week or so ago, or maybe 2 weeks ago. What is a widow? Al-Manah, a widow. A desolate house or palace, but a widow. Again, you are not a widow if you had a baby from a man and you not with that man and that man is not taking care of that child. That doesn't make you a widow. We need to stop telling people that. You can't try to say to make it for modern times, this is a modern widow because in the times we live in, but then you're going to turn around and talk about a Christian when they do things of that nature. You a hypocrite, a blasphemer, and a liar. If you want to do something for women who have kids and they not with the father of their children for whatever reason, then just say that that's what you desire to do because you want to be a presence in broken homes. Stop trying to use the book to justify what you're doing when it don't fit. If it's wrong when somebody else do it, it's wrong when you're doing it over here. Stop doing that because you're lying on that man. That woman is not a widow. Meaning, it is not the assembly's responsibility to look out for that woman. That's her responsibility. That for a father in her life, that's between him and her. You know what I'm talking about? But we got to stop doing that, man. A child is not fatherless because their daddy left. That's not what a fatherless child is. A fatherless child is one whose daddy is dead. You do understand that? The word is yatom. That is an orphan, a bereaved person. No, I feel you, Sister Hill. A lot of brothers say it. I've been hearing brothers say it for the whole 14 years I've been in the word. You know what I'm saying? And this is not to say that to denigrate women in that situation and circumstance. So don't take it that way. But you can't say a child is an orphan and his daddy alive and his daddy just deadbeat. That child ain't no orphan. He's not bereaved. His daddy is alive. That's not a fatherless child. It's not. It's not. It just is what it is, man. If his daddy dead, yeah, then he a fatherless child. Whether his daddy was a sinner or a saint. If his daddy dead, he a fatherless child. Okay, then that's fine. Now, you know, an orphan is when both of your parents are dead. You're not an orphan if one of your parents is alive. See, you're not an orphan if your mama dead and your daddy alive. You're not an orphan. You're not an orphan. We just have to be just. If you're going to teach something, then teach what it is. Because what ends up happening is you try to shame people in assemblies and congregations to do things that the word don't say that they're required to do. And a lot of people do that. And you don't need to do that. Because matter of fact, a brother went live about something, man. I ain't going to go into detail. But basically, he was like, brothers ain't breaking bread for a particular situation he in. And see, the problem come in that is that depending on what you're trying to do, you shouldn't have to do GoFundMe's and all this, that, there, and the third. The immediate men and women who you fool with, they should be able to come together and make something happen before you get on social media asking other people in the faith to do it. If the people who you fellowshipping around, man, if y'all can't even come through for each other, then what the hell y'all around? I seen a lady say the other day, man, what's the point of having elders? Elders will judge you wrong. I'm like, well, babe, why you got elders who opinion and advice you don't value? Like, I don't understand what a lot of people got going on in the world. Y'all fooling with people you don't even like? Y'all dealing with people you don't trust? What's going on? What is we doing here? Like, I don't understand it. What are we doing here? So you mean to tell me you around here fellowshipping with people, man, you ain't even got no genuine love in your heart for them? It's an issue? What's going on? That's not a problem with that person. That's a problem with you. There's something wrong with you. But we in a bad way. Bruce don't like to talk about that type of stuff, man. But we in a bad way. So you mean to tell me you got elders, you got people who teaching you, you don't trust their advice? You don't trust their counsel? Then what the hell you learning from them for then? If you don't trust their advice, why you trust their teaching then that God talking through them? Like, this don't make no sense, man. You know what I'm saying? We got young people trying to counsel people twice their age, 3 times their age, ain't even did nothing in life. How you gonna give somebody some counsel you ain't did nothing? And just be wrong all the time. And we cool with that. That's a problem. That's a problem. You know what I'm saying? It's a problem. We got a lot of problems going on out here, man. That's why the people ain't got no power. That's why the people not plugged in with Yahuwah. That's why we don't know him. Because we be worrying about everything except what he said to be concerned with. What was that? I mentioned Psalm 68 and 4. I'm sorry, y'all. I'm in verse 5. I'll read verse 4 one more time. Sing unto Alahym, sing praises to his name, extol him that ride upon the Shamahim, by his name Yah, rejoice before him, a father of the fatherless, a judge of the widows, Alahym in his Kadash habitation. Alahym set the solitary in families. He bring out those which are bound with chains, but the rebellious dwell in a dry. See, when you look at that solitary in families, I guess you know it's Yaked Ba. It's Yaked Ba. If you didn't know, today you do know. It say Alahym set. That's Yasar. That means he dwelt and he remained. He said, he called to dwell. It said, so it basically telling you that Alahym dwelled in the only begotten son in the house. Uh-oh, somebody going to hell. Because if you sit back and you read that in the language, it literally tells you that Alahym dwelt in the house. He dwelt in the house. And why did he dwell in that house? To bring out those which are bound with chains. Well, what you think you're bound with? He that commits sin is the servant of sin. But if you believe in the Son shall set you free indeed. Oh, somebody going to hell. Because he that don't believe on the Son of Alahym is condemned already. You dig? If you ain't got the Son wrath of God on you, man, that is a problem. So let's hit this Isaiah 59 and 20 because we're talking about that seed. Because I promise to you, if you will permit, we're not coming back to dealing with the offerings. I got something on the table, and I'm talking about this dope already cooked. It's already cut. You know what I'm saying? For some of y'all don't know, it's called Ready Rock. But I ain't gonna say Ready Rock because somebody had to cook it. I done already copped this pack. I done already whipped this pack. This pack is already cut and primed to be put on the street. You understand me? I got it ready. You know what I'm talking about? It off in the cut. I'm talking about ready to put it on the street. And you know what I'm saying? We ready to serve that. You dig? So let's come over here to Isaiah 59 and 20. And the Redeemer shall come to Zion unto them that turn from transgression, and Jacob, saith Yahuwah, as for me, this my covenant with them, saith Yahuwah, my ruach that upon you, and my words which I have put in your mouth shall not depart out of your mouth, nor to the mouth of your seed, nor to the mouth of your seed, saith Yahuwah, from henceforth and forever. So we know that covenant, which is in Jeremiah 31, and that ruach, which is a part of that covenant in Jeremiah 31, he has put that on this man's seed. Of course, y'all know in Isaiah 53, he makes a statement such as this. He shall see the travail of his soul. He shall be died. That's not the one that I want. There it is, verse 10. Yet it pleased Yahuwah to bruise him. He put to grief. When you shall make his soul an offering for sin, he shall see seed. He shall prolong days. And the pleasure of Yahuwah shall prosper in his hand. Because again, it's not seeds of many, but seeds of one. You dig? So when we talk about seeing seeds of one, we dealing with that seed because remember, he's a priest forever after the order of Melchizedek. So when you're dealing with that, that's why he said, right, in verse 17, whoever of your seed that have any blemish, he cannot offer bread. Again, blemish in Hebrew, for those who don't remember, is mum. That is moral stain, blemish, spot, or defect. Come over here to Job chapter 11 real quick, like. Job chapter 11 real quick, like. I want to say about verse 14. Yeah. Verse 13. See, I remember the first time I read this Job 11, man. Well, not the first time. But I remember it when coming across, looking at this. And this is when I begin to understand by the grace of Alahym, the perfection that the text is speaking of. Okay, because it's literally right here. So then I began to ask myself, over the course of time, like, why these dudes don't be seeing it? And I wasn't special. I didn't have any teachers in mind specific. I'm just like, why don't nobody see these passages? Why don't nobody talk about these passages? Why is no one aware of this information? That's right here. That's telling us what we need to be and how we need to get there. Why is that not being discussed? We spend so much time trying to poke holes in this person's doctrine and that person's doctrine and all these things. Why don't nobody know this? So then we look at Job 11 and 13. He said, if you prepare your heart and stretch out your hands towards him. See, pause. Now I want you to come and look at a statement that's in Timothy. 1 Timothy chapter 2, I believe. 1 Timothy chapter 2, I believe. I might be in the wrong spot. The passage is in my head. I need you to see it, though. Hold on. Give me a second. I got to dig that out. We didn't talk about it before. It's just been a while. We got to speed it up. We ain't got all night. Yeah. I was right the first time. Come on here to 1 Timothy chapter 2. Sometimes when I jump on pop page, I be thinking I be in the wrong spot. So we in 1 Timothy chapter 2, right? That's a true story. I can't lie to you. Let's look at 1 Timothy chapter 2, man. I pick it up at verse 4. Well, I'll make it verse 1. It's all good. He said, I exhort, therefore, that first of all, supplications, prayers, and intercession, giving of thanks be made for all men, for kings, and all that are in authority, that we may lead a quiet and peaceable life in all godliness and honesty. For this is good and acceptable in the sight of Alahym, our Savior, who will have all men to be saved and come to the knowledge of the truth. For one Alahym, one mediator between Alahym and men, the man Mashiach Yahusha, who gave himself a ransom for all to be testified in due time. You know, that's mentioned in Psalm 49. Whereunto I am ordained a preacher and an apostle. I speak the truth in the Mashiach and lie not, a teacher of the Gentiles in faith and verity. Now notice this here, right? Because see, you got to remember, right? A preacher is not necessarily mentioned in that Ephesians 4, but you know a preacher is a coeleth, and that's an arranger of sentences. So Paul let you know that he's a preacher. So he letting you know he's an ecclesiastic, because when you deal with preacher, you're dealing with Ecclesiastes 12. I mean, the preacher sought out knowledge and acceptable words, even words of truth. And he sought out many proverbs to set him in order. See, a lot of people, they're not a preacher. See, a preacher is just not somebody who just running their mouth. You're supposed to be a arranger of sentences, a coeleth. Everybody ain't no preacher, man. That's why the people are deficient and defunct of the information necessary for salvation. Because a lot of dudes, they're not preachers. They just people who run in their mouth. You know what I'm saying? But nevertheless, he said, I will therefore that men pray everywhere, lifting up Kadash hands without wrath and doubting. I will therefore that men pray everywhere, lifting up Kadash hands without wrath and doubting. Now, why is that important to the fact that I needed to read it twice? It's important for one reason and one reason alone. Come to Psalms 134. Because when Mashiach was on that stage, he had stretched out hands. And his heart was prepared towards his Abba. And when he cried out to his Abba, there was no wrath in his heart and there was no doubting. Because he said, Alahym, into your hands I commend my Ruach, and Abba, forgive them, for they know not what they do. So if you can look at a man at that level of distress and that level of pain where wrath could have been warranted, where even dealing with the flesh that doubt could have arose, and he spread forth his Kadash hands in that type of tribulation, oh, you can spread forth your hands and pray to Yahuwah with no wrath and doubting in your heart. You ain't got no excuse. Why you think Paul making that statement? Where you think he got it from? Because he's telling you to follow the example. You know how many men in this text who prayed towards Yahuwah? You know how many times David prayed towards Yahuwah with no wrath or doubt in his heart when he was being pursued by Saul, being pursued by Absalom? So we can go for days if you want to do that. If you think that's just that New Testament stuff. Well, I don't need no New Testament, goofy. You know what I'm talking about? We could prove that point straight from the law and the prophets if that's what you want to do. It's not going to change the fact that every time you lift up your hand towards heaven, there's wrath and doubt in your heart. That means you ain't prepared your heart to seek the man. That's why you got blemishes. That's why you can't offer no word, my G. You can't offer the bread of life. It ain't in you to do it. You can eat from it. You can't offer it, though. Let's continue. Psalms 134. Behold, Baruch Yahuwah, all servants of Yahuwah, which by night stand in the house of Yahuwah, lift up your hands, the sanctuary, and Baruch Yahuwah. Yahuwah that made Shamahim and earth. Baruch Yahuwah, you out of Zion. So there's a reason that I went to that, because I mentioned something about the sanctuary. See, I want to come back to something in the sanctuary that's at the tail end of Leviticus 21. Because see, what we're really dealing with is you dealing with the preachers. See, we talk about if you're going to be a sacrifice to Yahuwah, you can't have no blemishes. Well, if you're going to offer the bread, that means you offering the word. And if you got blemishes in you, you can't do that. You can't do it. You can eat from it, but you can't offer it. That's a lot of people not gonna like this. They're gonna be like, boy, you stretching the text. Same way your mama stretched out, unfortunately. Nevertheless, let's come back to Job 11. Verse 13. If you prepare your heart and stretch out your hands towards him, if iniquity in your hand, put it away, and let not wickedness dwell in your tabernacles. See, because Yahusha became sin, who knew no sin, he put that away. And that's why it didn't dwell in his tabernacle. That's why he was a perfect sacrifice. He didn't have no blemishes like we read about in Leviticus 22. He ain't had none of that. He said, for then shall you lift up your face without spot, and you shall be steadfast, and you shall not fear. He said, the minute you get rid of that sin, you'll be without spot. That's moon. That's that same word for blemish. No moral stains, no blemishes. Then he said you could be steadfast. What is that? That is your sock. That is to be firmly established. And then you won't have no fear. Because remember, he ain't giving us the ruach of fear. Listen to what he said. Because you shall forget misery. Remember, as waters pass away, and age shall be clearer than the noonday, and you shall shine forth, and you shall be as the morning. Uh-oh. Remember in Revelation 2, he said, hey, man, he that overcometh. Let's just look at it, because I'm already on the back end of that. Because then he said you're going to shine as the morning. Listen to what he told you now. Revelation chapter 2, verse 26. Now see, how everybody read the text all day don't see this. And of course, you know, morning is Boker, and that's breaking of the day. Listen to what he said in Revelation 2 and 26. He that overcome and keep my works unto the end, to him will I give power over the nations. And he shall rule them with a rod of iron, and the vessels of a potter shall they be broken to shivers, even as I received of my Abba, and I will give him the morning star. Oh, you're going to shine forth as the morning. Then he says in verse 18 of Job 11, you shall be secure because there is hope. Yea, you shall dig and you shall take rest in safety. You shall lie down, none shall make afraid. Yea, many shall make suit unto you. Well, what is it to make suit unto? Well, what is that? That is kala. That means that these people will become sorry. They will make themselves sick. They will be sick. They will be wounded. They will be grieved. See, that's tough. Now, why don't nobody talk about that, man? That man say you'll lift up a face without spot if you put wickedness away from you. If you don't let wickedness dwell in your house and you put perversity and depravity out of your hand. Then he say you'll lift up your face without spot. You'll be perfect. You'll be steadfast. You won't have no fear. That's all about being born again. That's all about dying the death of the righteous so your end will be like his. That's all that those who are born of his kingdom have been made poor. But nobody wants to do that. You know why? Because it's not a glamorous deal. And you can't get no esteem for yourself in that. That's why don't nobody want to do it. That's why don't nobody want to talk about it. Most of these dudes are not accountable. They don't want to be accountable. It's just a bunch of weirdos, goofies, and losers who want to group together to be the loser, goofy crew. And I don't want to be affiliated with men like that. I don't want nothing to do with men like that. For what? It's a lot of stuff that Brew will be doing that should be disgusting to you as a man, much less talking about a godly man. It should be vile and despicable to you. I'm not talking about, oh man, somebody got caught up in their flesh or whatever the case may be. I'm talking about a perpetual state of weirdo-ness, goofiness, wickedness, depravity, and dishonorable activity. And some of y'all know exactly what I'm talking about. But you know how many times I see dudes share passages talking about the Christian church when he was talking to you? And you want to pass the buck on the Christian church, but had a nerve to say women don't want to be accountable? Get your goofy behind out of here, man. You sound retarded. It's shameful. It's despicable. It's vile. It's repugnant. The whole order of it is odoriferous. It's disgusting. Come on back to Leviticus, man. I know we talked about some of these. Let me get to this crook back and this dwarf. I'm in verse 20. So if you have a crook back, that's a humpback, a crook back, you're contracted, you're arched, Gabain, Gamal, Ba, and Noon. See, unfortunately, you do not know the messenger or the bringer of the message of the house. So therefore, you can't partake of the life of the house. So we're going to deal with that hunched over in a second. Let me go ahead and give you a dwarf. This is somebody who's a very little thing. He's small, he's lean, he's dark. So what does that mean about very little and thin? Let's look at a blemish in the eye. The blemish, which is tabalul. This is obscurity, a defect in vision or confusion. So when you're dealing with somebody who has a blemish in the eye, he's dealing in confusion. He's dealing in confusion. So of course, I think we talked about scurvy already. That's an itch in a scab. That's garab. I think we talked about what's scab, and then we'll deal with stones broken. Scab is, of course, yellow feth. That's a skin sore, an eruptive disease. We already talked about that when we were dealing with the things where when you make yourself a sacrifice. So we don't have to be redundant with that. But broken in stones. Broken, of course, is bruised, crushed, rubbed, meroach, broken or emasculated. Emasculated. Stones, of course, are your testicles. Ishek. So you're talking about a man who's been emasculated. So if you've been emasculated as a man, you can't preach the word. But let's deal with the first thing with blemish and vision. I think it's Isaiah 29 that I desire. After Isaiah 29, Matthew 15. I think it's Isaiah 29. Let's look and see. And then we'll come back to the hunched and the broke back and all that good old stuff, man. I'm in 28. Oh, there it is. I was wrong. Come on here. Isaiah 28, verse 5. We just talked about this the other day. There's something else in Isaiah 29. I can do both of them. It ain't going to hurt nobody. It ain't going to hurt nobody. Isaiah 28 and 5, and it says this, "In that day shall Yahuwah of hosts be for a crown of esteem and for a diadem of beauty unto the residue of his people, and for a ruach of judgment to them that sit in judgment, and for strength to them that turn the battle to the gate. But they've also erred through wine and through strong drink are out of the way. The priest and the prophet have erred through strong drink, They swallowed up of wine. They are out of the way through strong drink. They err in vision. They stumble judgment." See, they're erring in vision. What does this mean to err in vision? Well, remember, right, if you got a blemish in your eye, you're dealing with confusion. So I'm going to get to that 1 Corinthians 14 in a second. We'll go to Isaiah 29 right after this. But what is this to err in vision? So err is sagah, that is to go astray, that is the err, that is shan, gamal, and hay, to go astray morally, to lead astray, to mislead mentally. So they are misleading people with the word because they have a blemish in the eye. Vision, of course, is ro'eh. That is a seer or a prophet. So when they err in vision, this is a misleading prophet. This is a misleading teacher. Whether the fact that they misleading on purpose is grossly irrelevant. They have a blemish in the eye. Therefore, they cannot offer the bread of their Alahym. They can sit and eat of it, but they can't offer it. Can't offer it. You ain't got to like it. Take it up with the Lord. Don't make me no never mind. Isaiah chapter 29, man, verse 9. "Stay yourselves, and one cry you out and cry. They are drunken, but not with wine. They stagger, but not with strong drink. For Yahuwah have poured upon you the ruach of deep sleep and have closed your eyes. The prophets and your rulers and the seers have he covered. And the vision of all is become unto you as of words of a book that is sealed, which delivered to one that is learned, saying, Read this, I pray you. He say, I cannot, for it's sealed. And the book is delivered to him that is not learned, saying, Read this, I pray you. And he say, I am not learned. Wherefore, the Lord said, for as much as this people draw near with their mouth and with their lips and do honor me, but have removed their heart far from me, and their fear towards me is taught by the precept of men. Therefore, behold, I will do a marvelous work among this people, a marvelous work, a wonder, for the wisdom of the wise perish, and the understanding of the prudent shall be hid. Woe unto them that seek deep to hide their counsel from Yahuwah, and their works are in the dark, and they say, Who see us? Who know us? Now let's take a look at Matthew chapter 15. And you know what? We can get a little Colossians in if you want. But let's take a look at Matthew 15. And I want you to come over here to verse 1. I still got 18 minutes. You may get some overtime. Well, really, I owe you 8 minutes. When I say that, meaning I go to 7:30 to 9 max. So if I don't start at 7:30 on the dot, I'll at least give you an hour and a half. Verse 1, of Matthew 15. Then came the Yahushua scribes and Pharisees, which were of Jerusalem, saying, Why do your disciples transgress the tradition of the elders? For they wash not their hands when they eat bread. But he answered and said unto them, why do you also transgress the commandment of Alahym by your tradition? See, that's a mean retort. Mean retort. You coming at me about washing hands and you buck the word, get goofy behind out of here. See, I told y'all the other day, right, how a brother put it, and it's accurate. Well, it was a white man, I believe. It was accurate. It was a white gentleman. You know what I'm talking about? He said Yahusha was a kind man. He wasn't a nice man. See, when people are like, oh, he's a nice guy. More of the time when people say that, I mean, he's a pushover. He's a walkover. He's not someone who's firm and resolute in his stance. See, nice and kind are not synonymous. You know what I'm saying? See, you can be a nice person and be unkind. You know what I'm talking about? Because when you're dealing with kindness, you're dealing with mercy. You're dealing with gentleness. You're dealing with goodness. You're dealing with long suffering. See, and this is the same token where a lot of dudes say, I'm a good guy, but the women don't want me. Because you think because you're not leading with the fact that you want physical relations, that make you a good dude. No, it just makes you a square. Just makes you a lame. Doesn't mean you're a good dude. You know what I'm saying? So somebody knew that had shared some stuff like that. And dude told her, he was like, righteous men don't get played. If you righteous, I don't see how you get played. People don't even really get played for the most part. You play yourself. And you play yourself because you're dealing with your lust. So if you were a righteous man or woman, you wouldn't get played because you wouldn't be leading with your lust. So therefore, you would see a situation and scenario that wouldn't be a God. But see, we don't be wanting to hear that. Because mass majority of the time, I say, you know, some people, they let you think that you playing them because they allow you to do something. They know that you're doing it, and they allow you to do it so you can hang yourself because you thinking you getting over. So when they cut you off, there's nothing that you can say because they gave you the rope and you chose to hang yourself because you thought you were 3/4 slick getting over. But you played yourself. You know what I'm saying? Most people, they play themselves. You see what's going on. You see this nigga ain't no good. You see this woman ain't no good. You see this person's not your friend. You see this person don't care about you. Don't you think Judas thought he was getting over? Yahusha knew what time it was the whole time. He wasn't playing nobody. Most of the time people don't get played. You just not paying attention. You know what I'm talking about? Your mind and your focus is somewhere else. So then you talking about, oh, they played me. These people didn't play you. You weren't focused. Satan ain't playing nobody. Well, he said he gonna deceive everybody. But what is he deceiving you by? Sin is what's deceiving you. So what's deceiving you is your heart. And what is your heart led by? Your lust. That's why he said we've escaped the deceitfulness of lust. You know what I'm talking about? Or the corruption of the world through lust. Because the book say what? The heart is deceitful above all things and desperately wicked. Well, the heart desires those things which are not of Alahym, and sins deceive. That's what you've seen in the garden. Satan didn't play Eve. Eve was deceived by her own lust because she knew what she was supposed to do. She said it back to him. She knew she wasn't supposed to do it. But because her heart was deceitful above all things, and because she was moving according to her desire, that's what deceived her. But Satan didn't play her. She played herself. Simple as that. That's why I said we're not ignorant of the wiles of the devil. All Satan try to do is play your lust against you. So he's not playing you, you playing yourself. That's why you can't be led by your lust. That's why I tell y'all all the time, man, it's all good to have emotions, but you can't lead by them. You can't make decisions. You can't let how we godly people and everything we doing is dictated by how we feel. That means the Ruach ain't in us because everything we doing is based off of emotion, and Yahuwah don't operate off emotion. And anybody who tell you that Yahuwah operating off of emotion, they blaspheming. Because he said Alahym is a Ruach. And he desired those that worship him to worship him in Ruach and in truth. There is no emotion in the Ruach of Alahym. That's the divine nature. If it's emotion in the divine nature, you just said he was a man. Again, this is not to diminish the fact that human beings have emotions. We all know that you have emotions. The book say he was subject like unto like passions as we are, yet without sin. When are we going to get to the point that we don't allow our emotions to dictate how we behave? You know what I'm talking about? When are we going to get to that point? When you burn it in hell? How long is that going to be the excuse? I was in my flesh. I was in my feelings. Come on, man. When is the word going to overpower your feelings, man? When is that going to happen? When you going to allow the only begotten son to dwell in your house? When you going to let that happen? Again, you can have the feeling. It's just don't make no decisions based off of it. Don't make no moves based off of it. That's the point. The point is not to deny your human emotions and human feelings, human passions. That's not the point. You're going to have them. You're going to have them to the day that you die. But you're supposed to mortify your members, that the word of Alahym take root over that, and that your flesh is dead, and they'll let you no longer live according to that. So when are we going to get to that point that is how we're going to choose to live? Are we going to let the power of God rule in us, or are we going to let the power of lust rule in us? Which one you going to give the power to? Because he said whoever you yield your members to is to whom you obey. So who are you going to obey? Are you going to obey the Ruach of Alahym, or are you going to obey your flesh? Well, you know where your flesh going to take you. And you know where the Ruach of Alahym going to take you. Which one do you want to go to? So we got to stop making excuses and pandering and pussyfooting around with a whole bunch of stuff, man, and look ourselves in the mirror and just be honest, like, man, no, I don't want to live by my lust no more. I don't want to make decisions by my lust anymore. I don't want to do that. Okay, I feel this certain type of way about this certain type of situation and circumstance. You should be mature enough to, you know what I'm saying, to be able to understand that and possibly verbalize it if need be. You know what I'm talking about? You got to get to that point where you can be able to do that. You have to be able to look at a situation that cause you to be upset, and that you can understand why you're upset and put that to the side immediately, because I will not allow that to dictate how I move just because I'm upset or I'm sad. And when I say upset, not necessarily because somebody did something to you. It could be a multitude of things that could upset you throughout the day. It's a multi, and when I say upset you, not necessarily that you're sad, you could make you angry, could have you frustrated, have you irritated, whatever the case may be. It's a multitude of things, man. He already told you, man, that, you know what I'm saying, that evil gonna be in the world and people gonna offend you. That's gonna happen. It's not the fact of what happens, it's how you respond to what happens. It's what speaks to your character. I was just listening to these dude, man, where he was responding. MTR was responding to these boys talking to, I guess this dude done became a Muslim, and he was talking to Fresh and Fit, man. And they were just sad because they were talking about, you know, what they say women need to do. He said, well, y'all telling men to be high value, and they telling men get a vasectomy in your 20s on your path to being a high value man. And I'm like, you know, that John's sad because, you know, of course, you know, when these dudes be talking, of course, it's different for us because we serve Yahuwah. But, you know, godliness is not a factor for these men. See, a lot of these dudes is weirdos and lame, so they think the only way they can get some money is to be jacked. I mean, to get a woman is to be jacked and to have some money and some status, and then then I can get them. But they don't even realize that you're only going to get a certain class of woman because you're not going to really get a wife caliber woman because you got some money or you got some status. See, a lot of these dudes believe that, you know, a woman will choose money over integrity. Only a low class of a woman, really a carnal, ungodly woman will choose that over godliness. See, a woman who ain't seeking God, a woman who didn't have somebody in her life that served God or sought God or had anything toward God, yes, she's going to pick a man with money over godliness every time. Because the godliness doesn't appeal to her. Now, a lot of women say they want godliness. Like I just look at something, there'd be someone say, I want a God-fearing man. I say, do y'all really even know what that means? Do you even really know what you're asking for? Because the last one, the God-fearing man, she crucified him. She crucified him. Because that's who she said she wanted. And when he was in her face, she killed him. Because in reality, that's not what she wanted. Because the things that went along to it, it didn't cater to her desires and what she wanted to do. It didn't cater to actually humbling herself, to actually be a benefit and service to her God. She didn't want to do that. Because at the end of the day, Yahushua had so much fear in his father, he got up on a stake and died, and he ain't do nothing wrong. And he ain't do nothing wrong. He ain't do nothing wrong. So when people say, is that what you really want? Because based off the actions of our people didn't want that. We killed the man. And we were saying we wanted the God-fearing man the whole time, and you took him out. Wait a minute, Matthew 15, man. Verse 4. For Alahym commanded, saying, honor your Abba and your Emma. He that cursed Abba or Emma, let him die death. But you say, whosoever shall say to Abba or Emma, a gift, by whosoever you might be profited by me. Honor not his Abba or his Emma. Thus have you made the commandment of Alahym of none effect by your tradition. Hypocrites, what did Isaiah prophesy of you, saying, this people draw near unto me with their mouth and honor me with lips, but their heart is far from me. But in vain they do worship me, teaching doctrines, the commandments of men. And he called the multitude and said unto them, hear and understand. None, not that which go into the mouth defile a man, but that which come out of the mouth, that defile a man. You know, I literally heard somebody say, yeah, man, that's why you got to be vegetarian. That's why it's called the fruits of the spirit. I said, boy, that's why the people going to hell, man. That's why. I don't care what you eat. That ain't got nothing to do with your heart, man. That ain't got nothing to do with your spirit. And if you think based off the food you eat, that draw you closer to God, that's how I know you don't know him. That's how I know you don't know him. Because you're dumb on purpose. You know how difficult it is to be, dumb on purpose? Then came his disciples and said unto him, know you that the Pharisees were offended after they heard this saying? But he answered, every plant which my heavenly Father have not planted shall be rooted up. Let them alone, they be blind leaders of the blind. And if they lead the blind, they shall both fall into the ditch. Then answered Peter and said unto him, declare unto us this parable. Yahushua said, are you yet also without understanding? Do you not understand that whatsoever entering at the mouth go into the belly and is cast into the drought? But those things which proceed out of the mouth come forth from the heart, and they defile the man. For out of the heart proceed evil thoughts, murders, adulteries, fornications, thefts, false witnesses, blasphemies. These are which defile a man. But to eat with unwashed hands defile not a man. Well, that's just something that people just be saying, man. It's just somebody in a statement because they vegan. That's all that was. They don't know no better. You know what I'm talking about. But notice that he said they blind leaders of the blind. That's why he told you to beware of the leaven of the scribes and Pharisees, which is hypocrisy, which is unfaithfulness. They can't offer the bread. That's why they weren't sent forth to teach it. Remember when they came at him about the resurrection of the dead, he said, you do err, not knowing the scriptures nor the power of Alahym. You don't know. They can't offer the bread. They got a blemish in their eye. They bring it for confusion. 1 Corinthians 14. I don't even think that page in this book. I'm about to find out. I don't believe it is. It ain't. I don't want to read too much. There it is. Come on to verse 26. 1 Corinthians 14, 26. How then, brethren, when you come together, every one of you have a psalm, have a doctrine, have a tongue, have a revelation, have an interpretation. Let all things be done unto edifying. If any man speak in a tongue, by two, or at most three, and by course, let one interpret. If there be no interpreter, let him keep silence in the synagogue, and let him speak to himself in the Alahym. Let the prophet speak 2 or 3, and let the other judge. If be revealed to another that sit by, let the first hold his shalom. For you all may prophesy one by one, that all may learn and all may be comforted. And the kased of the prophets, and the ruach of the prophets are subject to the prophets. Alahym is not of confusion, but a shalom. And all the synagogues are the kased. So what is he telling you? He is not of disorder. Come here, little boopy. Come on. Oh. When you're dealing with a man who got a blemish in his eye, he got confusion. And when you're dealing with a man who got confusion, he's going to err in vision. There she go. He gonna err in vision. And when he err in vision, he gonna bring disorder. And when he bring disorder, the people gonna be destroyed. Because where there's no vision, the people perish. That's what the text tells you. Come over here to Proverbs. I think it's 29. Was she sleeping there? Well, I'll get her one thing. Come over to Proverbs 29 and 18. You can make it 29 and 29 and 12. Proverbs 29 and 12. I use some more out of that because it's going to get me to what I'm leading to, Lord willing, on the Shabbat. Dang, I'm in the wrong spot. There we go. We good now, though. Proverbs 29 and 12. He said, if a ruler hearken to lies, all his servants wicked. So you didn't understand that, right? If there's somebody that got dominion and he believed lies, it said everybody who up under, they evil too. You know how some people are like, that's just him, not me. Okay. He said, the poor and deceitful man meet together, Yahuwah lighten both their eyes. The king that faithfully judge the poor, his throne shall be established forever. The rod and reproof give wisdom, but a child left bring his mother shame. So you got to understand, right? You know, Yahushua was chastised. That's why it brought forth the skill. Now, we might revisit some of these passages in here, man, when we get to what we're coming with next. He said, when the wicked are multiplied, transgression increase, but the righteous shall see their fall. See, that's something that we don't be laying the heart to. You know, the more and more wicked people get put together, man, the more rebellion going to increase. Why you think they be doing all this stuff in the land to promote sin? Because that's what's going to happen. But just understand, you're going to see when they go to hell. So just be easy. He said, correct your son and he shall give you rest. He shall give delight unto your soul. Now see, I ain't got enough time because I ain't got enough time. But we'll revisit it, y'all willing. He said, where no vision, the people perish, but he that keep the law, happy he. See, this is the thing that's like this here, right? He said, a servant will not be corrected by words, for though he understand, he will not answer. See you a man hasty in his words, it's more hope for a fool than him. See you quick to open your mouth. He said, ain't no expectation for you, you stupid. But understand this here, right? When the man who's offering bread got a blemish in his eye, then he's going to bring forth confusion because he's going to err in vision. He's going to be a misleading teacher. That's why he told you that they the blind leading the blind and to be aware of the leaven of the scribes and the Pharisees, which is unfaithfulness, because they're going to mislead you. So when you have a blemish in your eye, which means you don't have eyes to see, nor ear to hear, nor heart to be converted, that you should be healed, you can't offer the bread of Alahym. Meaning you can't teach the word. Shut your mouth. You know what I'm saying? Receive the word and then wait on your service if you desire to serve. But you can't teach that word, boy. You got a blemish in your eye, boy. You can't come before this man talking about you offering no bread, boy. What's wrong with you? Now, when you're dealing with broken stones, I ain't even got enough time. Some of these stuff I'm going to have to bring over, y'all willing, to Friday, right? Now, he said, you shall eat the bread of your Alahym. That means you can eat the word now, but you can't offer it. Because we're dealing with the broken stones. You're dealing with an emasculated man. Of course, y'all know what's in Deuteronomy 23 and 1. If you don't know, I'll read it to you. It says, he that is wounded in the stones or have his privy member cut off shall not enter into the congregation of Yahuwah. Now, you know, a lot of people talk about the effeminate man. I'll read you the passage. Now, when you're dealing with wounded in stones, it's daka pasa. So when you're dealing with daka, that's a crushing. You've been mutilated. You've been wounded. You've been wounded. When you're dealing with stones, of course, that's a wound by crushing or a split or a wound. It's patsa. That's what it means when you've been wounded in your stones. When you're talking about your privy member, you're talking about your penis. Shof ka. Literally. Your privy member or your penis. You know, they around here telling, don't you realize these people don't know? You don't think these people know what they be doing when they got these young boys talking about they think they're a girl and they getting them gender reassignment surgery, man, and they cutting off their wee-wee. That man is cut off from God forever. You know what I'm talking about? Like, ain't no repentance for that child. Once that wee-wee gone, well, you done. Well, once that gone, you done. You can't be like, oh Lord, let me, forgive me. I want my wee back. Oh, it's too late. You ain't got it. It's gone. He not fooling with you. But see, let me show you the passage where it talk about effeminate, right? Because it don't mean effeminate in the sense of what we be talking about effeminate, right? What that is, 1 Corinthians chapter 6. Yeah. 1 Corinthians 6 and 9. Know you not that the unrighteous shall not inherit the malkuth Alahym, be not deceived. Neither fornicators, nor idolaters, nor adulterers, nor effeminate, nor abusers with themselves, with mankind, nor thieves, nor covetous, nor drunkards, nor revilers, nor extortioners shall inherit the malkuth Alahym. So when you're dealing with somebody, this Greek word for effeminate, that word is malakos, to be soft, soft to the touch, effeminate, academite, a boy kept for homosexual relations with a man who submits his body to unnatural lewdness, a male prostitute. But also you can be effeminate or soft. But in general, it means a man who like a booty hole play with, or who play with booty hole. Now the last part with the little boy, that's something else, and that's despicable and vile. But of course, the Greeks were into that type of stuff. Of course, that also takes you to a male temple prostitute that you could see in the Tanakh if you would. But if you would like to know the definition of effeminate, that is to have the characteristics or ways behaving traditionally associated with women and regarded as inappropriate for a man. Having feminine qualities untypical of a man. You're not manly in appearance or manner. You're marked by unbecoming delicacy or over-refinement. What is over-refinement? Fine clothes and other possessions, the company of women, certain trades, too much fondness with women. It says we're all deemed effeminate traits in Roman society. Taking an inappropriate sexual position, passive or bottom in same gender sex was considered effeminate and unnatural. That is wild. That is wild. Also, some synonyms for an effeminate man is a sissy, a soy boy. I have never heard that before in my entire life. A swish or a twink. It also says having traits, tastes, habits traditionally considered feminine or softness or delicacy, most associated with boyhood. Also, it states that effeminate men were excessively active with both sex. Even being too fond of one's wife could result in a man being accused of effeminacy. As happened to Pompey the Great, effeminacy was the result of not just passivity, but an insatiability and lack of control. This was also the case in other matters than sex. So now, the reason why we look at, because we want to look at what did these people consider to be effeminate. And when they look at what they consider to be effeminate, one of these elements we could go back and look at when dealing with that is things that are commonly associated with adolescence. So when you say, when I thought as a child, I spake as a child, but when I became a man, I put childish things away. Because when we're dealing with that aspect of having your stones broken, that means you're an emasculated man. It means you're not operating in proper manhood. Now, they looked at it also as somebody who was entirely had an insatiability, a lack of control, and being passive. Being passive is an emasculated man, because a man is not supposed to be passive. Now, it says, what is the opposite of effeminacy? Manliness. Qualities traditionally ascribed to men as strength or bravery. See, oh man, you know what I'm saying? I don't want to delay. I ain't gonna tell you no lie. I don't want to delay what I was seeking to do. Y'all willing on Shabbat, but boy, I might have to delay it just to deal with that one there. Matter of fact, I'm gonna ask y'all that one there. Y'all tell me, because I ain't told you what I was dealing with next, so you're gonna have to guess on that. I ain't gonna get that away too soon. Now we can deal with on Friday, you willing, what I had next, or we can deal with this Leviticus 21 and 20, who have his stones broken. And I'll let y'all make that decision. Which one you want, boo? Oh, you all right. You sound like you out of it, baby. Which one y'all want? Y'all want what I had in mind to do? Or do you want to deal with he that got his stones broken? I'll let y'all make the choice. You know what I'm talking about? It ain't no big deal. But if you don't say nothing, I'll make it for you. You know what I'm talking about? And I ain't got no problem with that either. I ain't telling you what I got in mind. You got to wait for it. Shalom, my G. You know what I'm talking about? Brother Nate say stones, say stones. Drew said stones. You know what I'm saying? I'm telling. I mean, at the end of the day, he said, I don't want that bitch. Brother Francis say stones. He say, we'll say, give him the stones, bro. Oh, I ain't telling what I got in mind, Brother Marvin, but it ain't nothing bad though. You know what I'm saying? It looked like it's gonna be the stones. Because again, stones is being emasculated. So because what we be dealing with, we ain't dealt with this in a long time. The last time we really had a masculine, well, I ain't gonna say that. Because we did the olive male type deal. But the last time we dealt with, I see what this gonna go to is at least a good 7-8 years ago with gird up your loins like a man. You know what I'm talking about? But no, because Tavon asked the same thing you asked, so it's all good. So we'll deal with that part of it. Because when you look at that, I'll share that Hebrew word for y'all one more time. You know what I'm talking about? I'll share that Hebrew word for you one more time. In Leviticus 21:20. Hold on. Oh, don't mind me. I'm catching this doggone whiff of this amber fever, and it's delightful. So the word is merarach, meme, rash, u, and kat. Is to be crushed, to be bruised, i.e. emasculated. So this is important because it is some elements that we talk about in 1 Timothy 3 when it comes to that, about you can't preach the word and be emasculated. You can't do it. It's no way. You're not going to be able to do it. You know what I'm talking about? And that's important because you can't offer the bread of your God and you a weirdo. It's forfeits you not a man. See, it's a lot of dudes out here, man. They not men. So let's look at something. He said, what are the most feminine traits? Also, too, because I was talking about this earlier, because every time I hear this junk pissed me off. And it just reminded me of this here because I see it. It's a trait such as nurturance. And I think I told y'all this long before, man. Let me tell y'all ladies something, man. Stop walking around here talking about a man needs you to nurture him. Because if you don't know what nurture means in the Greek, when you see that in Ephesians, it say to bring to maturity. But nurture by definition means to bring somebody along in growth and development. So if you got a man and you talking about you need to nurture him, that means you got a child. You know what I'm talking about? Because I'm a grown man, I don't need no woman to nurture me. If you need your woman to nurture you, that means your mama failed. You understand that? You're a grown man. You don't need your woman to nurture you. And you shouldn't be walking around here as a woman talking about you need to nurture your husband. That means he's deficient in an area. As an adult. That means he's your child. Matter of fact, ask yourself, why in the hell would you want to nurture a grown man? Nigga, I ain't none of your child. You ain't pushing me out your coochie. I don't need you to do that. My mama did it. My mama did fine. This is what it said: nurturance, sensitivity, sweetness, supportiveness, gentleness, warmth, passivity, cooperativeness, expressiveness, modesty, humility, empathy, affection, tenderness, being emotional, kind, helpful, devoted, understanding, having been cited as stereotypically feminine. Now, of course, this does not necessarily make you feminine because you are gentle. It doesn't make you feminine because you cooperate or support. It doesn't make you feminine because you're humble or that you have empathy. You know what I'm talking about? But there are some other things on there, like as a man, it doesn't make you feminine if you're helpful or devoted or kind. But being emotional, nah, you can't be that, sir. Why are you emotional, sir? Why are you passive? You know what I'm talking about? It's a little different for a man to be sweet. You know what I'm saying? That's a little different because, you know what I'm saying? You want a woman to be nice and things of that nature. And you definitely, as a man, you ain't got no business being sensitive. You ain't got no business being sensitive. They say, what is the difference between effeminate, emasculated, and effeminate? Effeminate refers to a man by one reason or another that shows characteristics typically regarded as feminine. Emasculate means to strip a man of his masculinity. So that means we would have to look at what is godly masculinity and then see men who are stripped of that. Then when you see men who are stripped of that, that's how you know they can't offer that bread. Now they say, what are some manly and feminine traits? Well, they say one of the things that emphasizes masculinity is ambition, acquisition of wealth, and difference in gender roles. That don't really do nothing for it. Let's see what these people say. Look how these people be lying. Look how these people be lying. They say, what's the first gender on earth? The first sexual beings to emerge perhaps 2.5 billion years ago are what biologists call ensogamous, which is a little like being gay, except everyone is somewhere between male and female. Many organisms, including some fungi, algae, and single-cell pond swimmers, still practice isogamy. See how these people be blaspheming, man? They say the first creature was gay. Man, look here. Man, look here. This world here crazy, man. These people out here crazy, man. But hallelujah for Yahushua in the word. I appreciate y'all time this evening. I bless y'all the house of Alahym in the name of Yahushua, by the way. You know what I'm saying? So y'all willing, man, on Shabbat, man, we'll look at that last part, man, by having your stones broken. You know what I'm talking about? And dealing with the emasculation, the effemination, and things of that note. And if you like that, you can't preach the word. You a beta male sent mangina, can't preach the word, man. Can't do it. So appreciate y'all. Love y'all. Yahuwah willing, man. We'll be back at it on the Shabbat, man. Make it do what it do. I bless your house of Alahym in the name of Yahushua. Yahuwah willing, let his word give you continual strength and guidance. And hold fast to the word of God, man. It won't fail you. And Yahuwah willing, man, till that time. Clubhouse, if y'all ain't got nothing for me, I'm gonna roll on out of here. You were finna depart to get